Good evening, everybody. Welcome to day 6 today. And it's good to get connected again today with all of you with tip number 6, yeah? The right mindset for financial freedom. I've started this session from the 1st of July. Yeah, now today is the 6th day, and I'm looking forward to another amazing session today with you guys. I've been sharing tips on a daily basis for about 15, 20 minutes, but very relevant tips, which is very important for you to know in order to be able to achieve financial freedom. And so, welcome again for all those of you who are going to joining me today to listen to today's tip. Yeah. So, 5 tips is over. Today's tip number 6. Tip number 6 is avoid the debt mindset if you want to achieve financial freedom. Avoid the debt mindset about having debts. Okay, have that. Forget about that mindset. I need to have credit card. I need a personal loan. Forget about it because if you avoid it, if you avoid that mindset, you would be financially free. So it's very difficult because a lot of us have been trained to use certain kind of debt in our life, but it's a mindset that you should come out of and always feel that I want to be in a position of being debt free totally. So today is all about debts and why debts are dangerous and why you should not look into debt at all and what are good debts and what are bad debts. I'll talk to you today. Yeah. So yesterday, very quickly, tip number 5 was about investing yourself. So for those of you who really want to learn more about debt and know more about this, go and read up. There are a lot of books you can read up that actually talks about debt and how you should take care of debt. But I will give you my version. Some of you might agree, some of you might not agree. Really doesn't matter. I tell you, I speak from my experience. I've gone through a lot, and so I want to share with you my tips. Hopefully, that you could understand that. I just put a quote in my Facebook account just now. There's from a lady called Clara Doyle, and she's under Richard Branson, and she says that what you are today is based on the financial decision that you made many years ago. And what are you going to be in 2030 depends on the financial decision you're going to make today or now. So which means if you are following through whatever I'm saying from day 1, day 2, day 3, now today is day 6, if you decide that this year I'm going to change the way I think financially, or my mindset is going to change, and 2030, your life will be very different. Yeah. So let's start off. So I told you today's tip mindset. Tip number 6 is avoid the debt mindset if you want to achieve financial freedom. That's what we are going to talk about today. Now, many of you don't realize that last time we used to ask people, sorry for those of you who are listening to me from India, from Vietnam, or from Canada and all, because I know there are people who watch my video and listen from there. There is a way we say, a lot of people go hutang sekeliling pinggang. That means you have got debts around your waist. We call it sekeliling pinggang. It was a debt, Nowadays, it's like hutang seluruh badan, because people have got so much of it, which means people have got debt all over the body, not just around the waist, you see. So that's how things have come to now. A lot of people have debts, and you need to understand that banks, this pandemic going on, right? But do you know the banks are making billions of dollars profit-wise? All the banks are making billions of dollars. Only M-Bank actually showed losses, and that's because they had to pay back the 1 MDB money, so they had to pay back. So because they had to pay back the money, so they made losses. But otherwise, almost all the banks are making billions of dollars. And the reason why they make billions of dollars, because there are so many of us gullible people who take debt, thinking that we need to have debt, even now moratorium now because of MCO, now you can delay your payment for 6 months, but you still need to pay your interest, and you got to extend your payment for another 6 months to a year, which means the banks are very happy. They can go to collect money from you, Now I want to tell you something about banks. Banks' job is to always keep you in debt. So that's why they give you credit card and say 5%, 5%, 5%, because they always keep you in debt. Always personal loan, everything. No man, pay minimum. No man, pay minimum. It's so easy to get a credit card. You go to anywhere, any shopping center, they give you a card, because they want to keep you in debt. Why? Because when you're in debt, they continually make interest and they continually make money. So it is so easy to get, and people think that you need to have a credit card or need to have debt. They're same like pharmaceutical companies, Pharmaceutical companies, when you go to a doctor, they'll say you must finish the antibiotics. But when you take antibiotics, you're actually creating more problems for yourself, which you don't realize. Or they'll say, okay, you need to take you got diabetic. Okay, you must take this for the rest of your life. You got pressure. Actually, you can actually reverse your diabetic or reverse your pressure, or you can do something to control it. But the thing is this: if you get cured of diabetic, then the pharmaceutical company have nothing to sell. If you got cured of high blood pressure, then the pharmaceutical company has nothing to sell. If you got cured of cholesterol, then you got nothing to sell. So a lot of pharmaceutical companies, their job is actually to what you call disease management and symptoms maintenance. They call it. So same thing. Banks, they always need to make you in depth. And that's why they're willing to restructure your loan and extend the time, because then you're more in depth. So I need you to understand that you might think banks are there to help you, but actually not really. Okay. Anyway, it's a thing that you must understand. Okay, let's go on to talk about the two essential debts. Two types of debt that essentially you need. Okay, one is housing loan debt, because you want to own a house. Okay, understood. We all want to have a roof over our head. We want to have our own house, so you take a debt. That's fine. It's normally paid from your salary and also, okay, that's a debt that I think all of us will incur, because we all want to have a house. And the other one is a car, vehicle debt, hire purchase for your car. Okay, one car. I'm not talking about 3-4 cars. I'm talking only one car, which is essential. If you're husband and wife, you got 2 cars. Okay, fine. Which I think, yeah, okay, fair enough. I think it's allowed, because according to Abraham Maslow, he talks about the various needs, human needs. It talks about roof over your head, So of course it's important. So these are two debts that you can have. But what I need you to understand is, when you take loans, housing loan or car loan, I want you to understand this. First of all, pay on time. Pay on time. You know why? Because if you don't pay on time, it will affect a lot of other things in your life. Okay, so pay on time. I'll tell you why later, but you must pay on time. That's number one. Okay, and also because then you pay the minimum interest that is there, rather than accumulating interest because you pay delayed. Okay, that's one. Number two is, you need to understand, when you go and get a car loan or housing loan or whatever, try to minimize it, not maximize it. Like, for example, people say, oh, I'm 30 years old. I will work until the age of 60. So can I get a 30-year housing loan? Of course, if you take for 30 years, you pay a little bit. But what you need to understand is, a $500,000 house, you ultimately end up paying about 1.5 million. It can be 3 times more, but it's only a $500,000 house. Why? Because you pay for 30 years. So a lot of you don't realize. Of course, if you say, oh, I want to pay in 20 years, the monthly installment is higher, but you'll get used to it. Once you start paying, you'll get used to it. But if you reduce it, then you're dragging the interest and you're paying more. So what you're doing is, for a $500,000 house, you're actually paying 1.5 million without you realizing it, depending on the interest rate. Yeah. Same thing with a car. But you see, the worst is about a car. Car in Malaysia, for example, you can pay over 9 years. 9 years the maximum installment payment, right? But you can do 3 years, 5 years, whatever. So you go to buy a car, okay? And what do you tell most of you? When you buy a car, what do you tell the guy when you buy a car? Can you give the maximum period or not? He says 9 years, and you say, oh, only 9 years. I cannot extend to 11 years. You see, the problem is, the way we think is, we want to pay less. We want to pay less. We want to pay less. But when you pay less, you're paying more interest, and you are creating more hutang for yourself, more debt for yourself. What you should do is, when you go to the car or you go to a bank, and they say, oh, sir, you're 30 years old, you can buy a house and you can take a loan for 30 years. No. Please, I want to pay in 20 years. That's what you should do. And if you can pay even faster and finish it off. Or you go buy a car and they said, oh, sir, you can pay over 9 years. No. I want to pay in 5 years. I want to settle my car. How much do I pay? Now, like I said, always remember this, initially, when you have 5 years, you're paying for the car loan, or 7 years for the car loan. Of course, the payment is higher as compared to 9 years. Initially, it'll be difficult, but you'll get used to it. But the moment you reduce it, you're dragging your debt. So it's very, very, very important to know there is 2 essential debt you can incur, which I consider as good debt. One is housing loan, car loan. But let's talk about the bad loans, which is very, very dangerous loan, which is personal loan and credit card. These are the 2 things very easy to get. You go credit card, you can go to anywhere. Oh, you don't have credit card. Oh, no problem, sir. We can give you 5 cards, 7 cards. No problem. You go to all the, all the shopping centers. There are people selling cards. Very easy to get card. As long as you have fixed salary, and they will give you a card. But the interest is extremely high. Same thing in personal loan. As long as you've got a pay slip, they will give you a personal loan. But extremely high interest rate you pay. You can pay up to interest rate up to even 17, 18% at one point in time. I remember in Malaysia. So it's very, very expensive to pay. I know a couple who got married. This many years ago. I know they got married, young couple, and they decided to go for honeymoon somewhere. I can't remember where, but some country lah. So they used their Citibank credit card and charged it on it and took money and went. Now I met them many years later, and they were not doing too well in life. I was talking, and I found out they were still paying for the credit card for the honeymoon. They took many because they've been doing 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. It drags on. So sometimes you don't realize is that credit card loan and personal loans are very, very dangerous. Yeah, very dangerous. I'm telling you today. So you need to remember this. You need to settle them. In fact, I will tell you this to all of you here who got a personal loan or a credit card loan. If you have FD, okay, take the FD and settle your loans first. You know, sometimes it's very funny how we all think. You see our mindset. Huh? You put FD in a bank. Okay, you put FD in a bank. You put FD in a bank, 50,000 ringgit you put. So you're very happy, like, oh my God, phew, I got 50,000 ringgit FD, fixed deposit, fantastic. So how much you get? Maybe you'll get about 2%, 3% interest. Very good. You're happy. You can get 2 to 3% in a year, not monthly, in a year. Okay. Now you decide to buy a car. You go and buy a car and you apply for a car loan, and the bank gives you a loan. To get the loan, you must fill out all kind of form and all kind of thing, all kind of question, and you get a loan. Now, imagine your car loan, you need to pay 7% interest or 8% interest. And let's imagine you put 50,000 in a bank, say Maybank. You put 50,000 in Maybank. They give you 2% interest on FD. Now you go borrow 50,000 from them to buy a car. Now you pay them 6-7%. Isn't that something terribly wrong? Isn't it? Your own money, you put in FD, they give you 2%. Now they take your money, they give it to you, and you need to pay them 6% interest. So I need you to understand that many of us don't think, Okay, but fine. Like I told you, car loan, housing loan, fine. So if any one of you have got credit card, any of you got personal loan, I'm telling you today, if you have FD, keep some for emergency purposes. I'm fine with that. But settle off. If you, sometimes people tell me, Mr. Kati, I got my bonus. I settle off my housing loan already. I got my bonus. I settle off my... No. The first loan you must settle off is always credit card and personal. Settle that first because they've got the highest interest. Then you can look at other loans. So it's very important for you to understand that part about this thing about paying loans. I think a lot of you don't realize this, because it's so dangerous for you to do that. And you have an FD, yet you got this. Now, if you have FD, you got car loan and housing loans. I'm not so particular. But if you got FD, fixed deposit, and yet you've got credit card loan and a personal loan, something is wrong with your calculation. Something is terribly, terribly wrong with your calculation. Here you are paying 17% on your personal loan, 17% for your credit card loan, and you get 2% interest on your FD. Hello, what's wrong with you? If you're 50 years old, you can take out money from EPF because you're 50 years old. Take the money and settle your credit card and loan because EPF only gives you 6%. And you're paying 17%, 18% for your personal loan and your I'm talking about effective interest rate. They will tell you interest rate is 6%, 7%. Even that is higher. By effective calculator, you can even go to 17%. I understand that part of it. So really not good depth. Yeah. Now, what you also need to understand is this. Yes, you would have other loans to borrow. Like, for example, I know maybe you want to borrow money to do investment. Okay. Maybe you want to, because I told you what, the only two loans I totally encourage you, housing loan and car loan, right? So now you want to borrow money for investment. And sometimes you want to borrow money for wedding, and you want to borrow money for your children's education. I totally understand all that, okay? But I need you to know, if you follow tip number 4 the other day, when I told you when you have your income, tip number 4, when you have income, you divide them. Remember I told you when you have an income, divide them. 10% for investment, 10% for savings, 10%, you remember? Now, if you do that, then you will have money for your wedding, your education, everything. You don't need to borrow from even for investment, you don't need to borrow. But if you don't have, then of course you have no choice, then you borrow, but quickly settle it. But I think the reason why we have to take study loan or we take investment loan is because we did not plan ahead of time. Even if you want to borrow money to say for study, your children's study and all, what I would suggest is, if you have an insurance policy, your insurance policy has got something called a cash value. Okay, you've got a cash value. So don't go borrow from the bank, but go to your insurance agent and say, listen, I need some money to pay for my children's education. What is the cash value I can borrow? Or what is a loan I can take? Because the insurance company, the loan is cheaper, especially compared to the bank. So you can go take it from your insurance company where you have been putting in money all this while. And you can take the money and then you pay for your children again, but not to the bank. Because why? You are asking for trouble if you're not. Of course, if you're disciplined, you're saving money every month, like I told you, then you don't have to worry about it at all. Yeah. So it's very important for you to understand that. Yeah. Okay. I just want to tell you this. My talk always has been create multiple sources of income, not multiple debt. Multiple sources of income, not multiple debt. So it's very important for you to look at multiples. That's why I'm very against debt. I want to give you 6 reasons, before I finish very quickly, why debt is very dangerous. 6 reasons. Reason number 1, whenever you have debt, whenever you get a credit card, for example, or personal loan, you spend more. So debt will encourage you to spend more. If you got a credit card, if you have a debit card, you won't spend much because debit card is your own money. But you got credit card, you pakai hantam, So it will encourage you to spend more. So be careful of debt. Okay. Number 2, debt actually costs money. I already told you that, right? Remember, debt is actually more expensive because if you borrow money to buy a house for 500, ultimately if you pay 1.5 million, now your house, you have actually paid 1.5 million, not 500,000. So you see, debt actually costs more for you. Number 3, debt borrows from your future. If you borrow debt and you're telling, oh my good lah, my salary going up every month, good lah, every year not every month, sorry, every year my salary. But no, if your salary goes up every year, but you also got a lot of debts, you are actually, whatever future income you're getting, you have to pay for your debts. So what is the use of salary going up? Like some people, the moment they finish their car payment, the car payment finishes 5 years, they finish car payment, and then maybe they get promoted, and then now their salary goes up 200, 300 a month. Salary goes up. You're very excited. Oh my God, from an executive become a manager already. I used to drive a Myvi. Now I used to pay 500. Now I'm a manager, and my salary went up by 300, 400 ringgit. Fantastic. But what they do, they change their car. When they change their account to a Honda now they're paying 1,000 ringgit. Now salary go up by 300 ringgit per month. Now they bought a car which is double what they used to pay for a Myvi. Now you are in debt another 5 years. So debt actually takes away your future income. Be careful of that. Debts will keep you from being financially free for the rest of your life. Always remember this, debt will always make sure that you will never become financially free. The reason why you're listening to me is because I've got tips that I'm giving every day for you to become financially free. But you'll never be financially free if you have debt. So you must quickly find out any extra money, settle off debt. Of course, see, remember I told you, you see, this is how you do. This is how I would do. When I get bonuses, for example, remember I told you, every income you get, remember, 60% you use for necessity, 10% where you divide, right? So the 60% for necessity, since this is the bonus income, I will take it and settle debts. Then I still have 10% investment, 10%. Now, Robert Kiyosaki actually talks about something called OPM. OPM means use other people's money, use banks' money. But you should only do that if you're good at investment and you know how to do it. If you don't, please don't use banks' money. You are in trouble if you don't know how to use it, yeah? And I want to finish off by telling the 6th main reason why you should not get into debt. Debt will create stress for you. Stress leads to cancer. Stress leads to cancer. Not genetic, not your father, mother. Don't ever blame your father, mother. The reason why debt is dangerous because debt creates stress, and stress leads you to not only cancer, but medical reasons, other medical. But I will tell you one more very dangerous reason why you should not have debt. Because debt actually leads to a lot of marriage problems. A lot of marriage problems is because of debts. Because you borrow money. Because you borrow money from your credit card, your housing loan, a lot of problems. Personal loan, a lot of problems. So I want to finish off today's one and tell you this. I want to tell you a story and I want to finish it off. Yeah, this is because it's a mindset. Debt is a mindset. It's all in the mind. There's no such thing. You cannot live without credit card. Cannot live without personal. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. It's a mindset. There was a guy who was not happy in life, a very rich man, not happy in life. One day went to see an old man and then asked the old man for advice. How do I become happy? And the old man said, whatever you look at must be green in color. Whatever you look at must be in green color. Old man, wise man, So the rich man will go back. 6 months later, he'll go back to the old man and say, old man, I'm so happy today. The old man was thinking, oh my God, what was the advice I gave him? I told him, whatever you look at must be green color. So the old man now went to the rich man's house. As going to the rich man's house, he saw big bungalow green in color. Do you know what the rich man has done? Painted the whole bungalow green. The old man went to knock on the door. Before that, he saw a BMW, Mercedes-Benz, green color. Knock on the door was opened by the servant wearing green uniform. The old man went inside and everything was green. The sofa was green, the TV was green, the wall was green. Even the rich man was wearing a green suit and came to the old man and said, "You see, my whole world is so happy now because everything is green." So the old man asked him, the rich man told him, like, I'm so happy. So the old man asked him, how much did you spend? So the rich man said, I spent 50,000 ringgit to repaint my house, repaint my car, repaint everything, change 50,000 ringgit to do everything so that today I'm so happy, everything is green. And this is what the old man said. He said, why did you spend 50,000 ringgit to change everything around you? Because for 50 ringgit, you can buy green spectacles and wear it and everything will look green. Now, what is the moral behind the story? Yes, a lot of people take credit card loan, a lot of people take personal loan, a lot of people take whatever loan. But you can decide by wearing the green spectacle and decide what is it that I want to do so that I can be happy. Because it's all within you. It's in a mindset. Okay? So with that, thank you very much. I'll see you all tomorrow for for tip number 7. Ooh, talk so much of debt, my word is coming on debt already. So tomorrow we'll see you for tip number 7. Thank you very much. I'll see you at 8 tomorrow. Yeah. Bye bye. Take care. Be safe.